It was just failure after failure until I made success. I made a decision to get into this program one way or another. I was going to get into anesthesia.
Welcome to the Awakened Anesthetist podcast. I'm your host, Mary Roberts. I'm a certified anesthesiologist assistant living and working outside of Kansas City, Missouri. I created this podcast to give CAAs across the nation a place to come together and awaken to our profession's unique ability to create a life by design rather than default. That process can start by simply listening and engaging with this podcast. By doing so, you're already changing what's possible for CAAs, for you, for me, for all of us. I'm so thankful you're here. Let's jump into this episode and see what we can do together. Hello, all my fellow CAAs, CAA students, and anesthetist colleagues. I hope I'm saying a welcome back to the Awakened Anesthetist podcast. I'm your host, Mary Jean, and I am so happy that you're here because today is our first process interview. These process episodes are meant to expand our collective understanding of what a CAA can be and do, and move us all in the direction of creating our life by design rather than default. I am really excited to create them and offer them to this community because they're a direct overlap of two things I love. First off, the power of my CAA profession to create a dream life, and then the magic of storytelling and sharing more of ourselves. So let's start this interview, like all things medical, with a quick timeout. Today, we are hearing from Jason Franco. Jason graduated with his Master's of Science in Anesthesia from Nova Southeastern University at Tampa, Florida in 2017. He currently practices as a CAA in the state of Florida at the Cleveland Clinic Indian River location in Vero Beach. Jason is the chief anesthetist at his practice location. He works full-time, which for him includes about 40 hours per week in the OR, plus he takes one weekend call a month and also does about 8 hours of admin work per week as chief. Jason and I happened to cross paths earlier this year on my personal hunt to do some locums work in Florida, and our personalities really connected. Jason's story will be super expansive to any CAAs who may one day open a new practice location, any CAAs who feel passionately about teaching and mentoring students, and any anesthetists who are struggling to prevent their limiting beliefs and past failures from impeding on their future potential. Jason also shares candidly about how he moved forward after his first and second failed interview attempts into CAA school, which I found incredibly vulnerable. Now that we know a little bit more about Jason, let's move on to the episode. Welcome, Jason, to the Awakened Anesthetist.
Thank you so very much, Mary. I appreciate being here and being invited to your very first podcast.
I know. I'm really excited to have you. I wanted to start these episodes off with one question for everyone, and that is, tell us about your cultural background and upbringing, just so we can get a sense of who you are quickly here at the top of the episode.
So I'm originally from New York, and I moved down to Florida when I was about 12 years old in the middle of sixth grade. And my cultural background is my mom is Colombian and my dad's Puerto Rican. So there's a lot of Hispanic background behind there. Growing up, I pretty much grew up as an only child. And my mom was just so adamant that school was going to be my way above everything that currently my family had to endure. So my mom was just so forceful in terms of making sure that even if I didn't want to go to school, I was going to go to school. And because of her, I am exactly where I'm at right now. That's the first step. But moving to Florida was probably the best decision that my mom could make for me because it opened up a bunch of opportunities in terms of going into high school with a HOSA program. And even before I went into high school, I knew I was told that at the age of 7, I wanted to become a doctor. and I loved medicine. And the more I learned about it, the more interesting and the more intrigued I got. And that was my goal. That was my path, was to get into med school. And I remember ninth grade knowing that, all right, this is it. And I just kept it going from there. Fast forward, and I ended up trying to study for my MCATs, not doing at all very well, and discovering that I was going to be a father also. And currently he's going to be 15 years old in the end of August. But when I really started reflecting and deciding, it's like, look, it's not going my way. Med school doesn't look like it's feasible. Plus, to be in med school for 12 plus years and now be a father figure the way I wanted to be for my son at that time was just devastating, because I grew up family oriented. Family was everything to me. And so I had to change gears. I had already done EKGs for a couple of years. I was certified in that. I did phlebotomy for 7 years. I did unit secretary. I did courier. Anything I can muster up to make some extra cash and just to get more exposure in the medical world, I did. Finally, it was I just had to figure out what else to do, and I was very fortunate that I was told about the AA program.
It sounds like your mom was such a driving force, and you I'm hearing this timeline of thinking you were going to medical school. Was it the Jose program you said that got you the shadowing?
HOSA program. The HOSA program back in during high school. It was the HOSA program, and it was the single most thing that really got me to love medicine as much as I did, because I was shadowing every single department, from the cleaning ladies all the way to the CEOs and everything in between. And that's how I learned. Actually, that's how I learned the OR was my place in the world, was because I shadowed a plastic surgeon one day, and I got to be in the OR and I saw the surgery, and it was like, wow, this is so freaking cool. I want to go into, and so my thing was, I'm going to be a surgeon. I'm going to go to med school. I'm going to be a surgeon. And that's what I want to do. Not even realizing, not even contemplating the idea that there were, 5 other professions in that single room that I could have looked at also, because I was just so focused on medical school at the time. And then through that program got me into EKGs, into knowing the OR was my place, and so forth.
And where in that timeline did you first hear about the CAA profession? Like, who first spoke those words to you?
It was a good friend of mine back in the day. She was going to nursing school, and when she first started, we met at work, and she asked me, "What are you going to do?" I was like, I don't know. I was thinking of PA school, but she said, "Well, why don't you go to nursing school?" I said, "Okay, fine, let me try it," and it didn't work out for me, and so I had I don't remember exactly in what time frame, but all of a sudden I remember I was working, and she had messaged me and she said, "Why don't you look into this AA program?" I'm like, I have no idea what that is. What is it? And he's like, "Oh, it's anesthesia." I'm like, that sounds kind of cool. And it was the NOVA program. And so I went online and I searched for it, and I started looking and reviewing and seeing what it's possible. And it was like, wow, this is really, really freaking cool. And it was just very fortunate that working, I mean, I had to have been there at the hospital for a cumulative of 10 years. So I knew everybody. I knew a lot of people, and it was just asking around. It's like, hey, I need shadowing experience in the OR. Who do I need to talk to? And one thing led to another, who then eventually I led to an anesthesiologist who said, yeah, absolutely. I'll come in whenever you want, for as long as you want. But it was scary. To be honest, it was actually scary, because it was my entire life up to that moment. And I was probably at that time 23, 24 years old, at least, somewhere around there. And ever since I was 7, it was med school, surgery, doctor, MD. That was my path. And to kind of have this idea of, okay, it's not that, it's this. I really like it, but my entire life has been this other identity. How do I transition to that? It was a little scary because I didn't know if I was going to like it. I didn't know if it was going to be my thing. I ended up shadowing for 3 months, about 5 to 8 hours a week for 3 months straight, just to feel, yeah, I can. I still like this after 3 months of just shadowing, of just watching. I still like it. Let me proceed from there, and that's when I started applying.
And we have spoke before this, and so I kind of know the background to you applying to CAA school, but I just think it's a really relatable story. Do you mind giving us some of those details about your application process?
Yeah, the application process was for me. It was like, okay, let me apply. Then I have an interview, and interviews are easy. Their interviews are no brainers. I've had plenty of interviews for jobs and for this and for that, and I knocked those out of the park. No problem. Okay. So I apply, and I applied originally to the Fort Lauderdale program. And the thing is that my upbringing was me figuring this out on my own because I didn't have parents or cousins or anybody that really understood the path on how to go through school and take out AP classes and, extracurricular stuff and to do all these things. I had to figure things out completely by myself. I just had my mom telling me, just go for it. And I got your back no matter what. And which was exactly what I needed. But figuring things out, I applied to the Fort Lauderdale campus, and I get an interview, in my opinion, pretty quickly, within a week or so. Oh, this is your interview date. Come on in. Let's go. I go in there completely unaware of what I was getting myself into. And I sat down, and they're like, well, so tell me about yourself. And I'm like, well, yeah, my name is Jason, and I want to get into the program. Completely unprepared. And obviously I did not get in. In. So I said, you know what am I going to do? I have no other options, plain and simple. This is what I want to do. And this is how I'm going to provide for my family. And that same day that I knew I got rejected, I had my interview. I walked out of there knowing that it was bad. I decided right there on the spot I was going to apply again. And I decided, okay, what I need to do some research. So I looked at a YouTube video that said what not to do in a medical interview. And I said, well, if I can learn what not to do for a medical school, I should be good on what not to do for this program. And it was funny because I felt like 99% of what this individual did on this video of what not to do, I did in my interview. And it was just so gut-wrenching to realize, like, wow, I was so bad. Like, if I would have watched this video, I would have been 100 times better off than just going in cold. So I said, okay, at least I know what not to do. Let's keep it going there. And at the time, then I realized that there was a second campus, Tampa Nova, that also accepts application, but I didn't realize that I had to apply to both of them separately, and that the interview process was separate for each one. I thought if I just applied to Nova, I applied to every single program out there that was Nova related, and it's not like that. So, okay, I learned, and I applied to both campuses. But in that time, I had met an individual who background is now my wife. She started working at the hospital. We became close friends, and I told her what I was going to do. And then she has a friend, a close family friend that was a professor at Nova who mentors students, and he mentored me on interviews. And we met once a week, and we called each other out constantly. And I still have my notes on all the stuff that we talked about and how to formulate the answers and how to lead the interviewer into the next question and I'm like, holy cow, I had no idea all this was involved. So we did it again, and I had my interview. I got my interview date for Fort Lauderdale, and I was excited. I was like, okay, they gave me a second chance. I'm going to crush this. I know it. And I go in, and about a week before I get I have my interview in Fort Lauderdale. I get an email from Tampa saying they want to interview me too. So I'm like ecstatic. I'm like, okay, I got 2 chances now.
Mm.
I go to Fort Lauderdale. I sit down, I ask my questions, they go back and forth. It's great. They're totally focused on me. And I felt good about it. But when at the end, they did a tour, and then the director of that program was giving us the tour of the campus. And at the end, he says, we're not just looking for great students, because you're all great students. On paper, you're excellent. That's the only reason why you got the interview. But this interview here is about finding leaders. And when he said that, I felt like he looked at me and he's like, what makes you a good leader? How are you going to be a good leader when you graduate from our program as an AA? And I'm like, oh man, I didn't talk about that, did I? And it was like, that was the one piece. And I thought about it, and immediately it was like a light bulb that went in my eyes. Education. I love to teach. I love to mentor. That's how I'm going to lead the future of the program, the future of this profession. And I knew what it was, but I didn't elaborate that. I didn't express that. So it was like, I have a feeling I didn't get in. And a week later, I go to the Tampa one. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do everything I did over there because it felt good in terms of the conversation. But I'm also going to include how I'm going to be a leader. And that's what I did at the Tampa campus. And I told him, it's like, look, when I'm done with this is not just me come in, come out, see a sayonara. I get to go make some good money and provide for my family, and that's it. Although that's very important to me. I told them up front, like, this is the reason why I'm getting in. I'm getting in because I want to provide for my family the way I really want to and the way they deserve. But at the same time, my passion for teaching is in par with how much I love my family, and that's how I'm going to do my thing as an alumni of your school. And that was my mentality when I went in there, and it was a great conversation. And in less than 24 hours, the school called me back and they said, "So, Jason, how are you doing?" And my heart is pounding like so hard. I'm like, "Oh my God, what is this conversation going to be about?" And they said, "How did you like your conversation?" It was great. I really appreciate the time and the effort and all this other stuff. And they said, well, I'm here to call you to tell you that the professors and the director really loved your conversation and you're officially in.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is so freaking awesome. I can't believe it. I'm in. This is it. This is amazing. And at that point, the rest is pretty much history. It was failure after failure until I made success. And it was the kind of thing where I made a decision to get into this program one way or another. I was going to get into anesthesia. And I think that was the biggest thing for me was making the decision which cut me off from all possibilities. There was no plan B. There was nothing else. And that's actually how I went through the program itself. I went in and I said, look, I'm not leaving until you cancel my badge and I can't get in, and you call the cops on me and you drag me out and you imprison me so that I cool off and I realize that I've been kicked out of the program. Until then, I'm coming and I'm not leaving until I graduate. And there is no plan B. There is just flexibility in my approach. There is consistency in my approach in continuing moving forward. And no matter what, whether I have to do the research or I find a mentor myself, I'm going to figure out how to make it happen. And I'm very grateful and very, very blessed to have a family upbringing. My mom that supported me, my wife then we were just dating, but now my wife now, who supported me throughout the whole thing, and all the people that have given me the opportunity to show that I'm who I am.
Oh, Jason, there are so many themes in that I find really inspiring. Just the mentorship that you found, and then realizing that was such a pivotal thing, and also realizing that you have a passion to mentor other people, and just the whole arc of, well, I guess my question is, when you were in the middle of it, did you realize that you were the type of person who was just going to keep going and keep learning from your mistakes and not let it drag you down? Is that always been your personality? Or are you like, no, I'm going to change and this is the person I want to be?
Very, very good question, actually. And to this day, no, I'm not. I it's interesting because I've done a lot of, or put it this way, before the program and doing all the interviews, I actually went on a little seminar. It was a week's worth of seminar. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I went to his Date with Destiny. And it was one of those things where I went to one of his UPWs. It was a 3-day thing. It was amazing. It was awesome. And that put me, on a good platform. I'm actually really, really, really lazy. And if I had the opportunity to do absolutely nothing all day, I would love it and then hate myself for it at the end of the day because I wasn't productive at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like my nature is being lazy and taking the easy way out. But there's this serendipitous. I found something that I'm really passionate about that I'm pulled towards. And at the same time, I have these things that push that I really, really hate in terms of the kind of person that I don't want to become, the kind of person that I don't want to, my children to see, my wife to see, that push me away and also push me forward towards the person that I want to be. So for me, it was one during the whole process of getting into the program, of studying in the program, of doing everything. I thought I was going to break at any moment. I thought it was it. This is it. I don't think I have another step forward. I don't think I have. I don't know how to shift this to make it work for me. And it was something as simple as studying. Like, I remember my first semester, I got in and was like, okay, this isn't bad. This is not terrible. A's, B's, great. And then my second semester, they really hammered it down. Like, I was not expecting it. Like, I was able for like a good month or two, wake up at 4, go work out, study for a little bit, then go to class, and then the rest of my day. And then it just got so overwhelming that it was like, I don't have time to work out. I have to study. So it was waking up at 4 a.m. to study and forget everything else. And those were the little shifts that I had to make. But in no way, shape, or form, while I was going through the whole process, did I tell myself like, no, I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to be like water. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to figure this out. It was, there is no plan B. So I'm screwed if this doesn't work. So I got to put every single ounce I have into this, study, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, sacrifice this, sacrifice that, sacrifice this. Because that pain is less painful than the pain of failing. And that really was the main thing that pushed me forward. And then on top of which, I actually enjoy this thing. So it's actually pulling me to learn more and do more because I've always loved medicine as well. So learning about anesthesia and learning about all the trades and the secrets and the tricks and everything and being that type of provider that helps others, because that's ultimately what I wanted to do, was to help others. And the vehicle I've chosen has been anesthesia now. So I was looking at those little things.
Yes, I relate to a lot of those points, and my wheels are turning because I'm hearing all of the struggle that you went through in CAA school.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering now, of course, hindsight's 2020 and you've evolved as a person since then. I just wonder if there's anything you would tell yourself, or, would you say, hey, you could be more flexible. You could relax a little bit. Like you maybe still can take that 30 minutes to work out because you don't need 20 hours to study. Like, do you look back and think I would have counseled myself to do a little differently, or a future, something future in the future that you're striving to do? Would you do it the same way?
Okay. So I'm glad you asked that last bit in the question, because there's actually two dynamics for me in terms of future self, in terms of past self. And past self, I would have to say that absolutely not. I wouldn't change anything. I would just let myself do it the way I did, because it was the way that I got myself through the program.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely honest, I graduated second to last, if not last, in my entire class. I almost failed the program 3 separate times, and you only get two chances. Like, you only get one fail. And if you fail a second time, after so you fail, you remediate. If you pass a remediation, you continue on. But if you fail a second time, there is no remediation. That's it. You're done. You're not qualified to move on. And I totally get that. Back then, it was like, oh my God, how can it be like that harsh? I look back on it now and it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. If I failed 2 classes, I shouldn't be able to graduate, because the responsibility there is, on the workforce is that great. If you're not grasping the concepts in the program, how are you going to grasp them afterwards? So I struggled. If I would have told myself it's okay, take a half hour to work out, I would have failed. I would have flunked out of the program. And so for me, it's that type of thing where I'm like, no, do everything you did, because it got you to where it got you to graduate, it got you to pass your boards on your first try. It got you to study as hard as you did, because if there was any kind of slack, I think I would have failed. I think I would have flunked out of the program. At this point, however, the flip side in terms of future, absolutely, there's stop and smell the roses, because you made it. You've done it. It's a beautiful thing. So now it's like, okay, slow down, enjoy, work out for a half hour, or, spend that extra 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour with your family, because you deserve it. What are your other hobbies? What do you like to do? Like right now, I love working with my hands, because that's how I was raised. It was, I broke it, I fix it. Or if it was somebody else's trash, you pick it up because it's your treasure, and fix it. So I love working with my hands, my cars, and everything. And now I'm building a built-in bookshelf for my wife's office, and it's coming out super cool, and it's amazing, and it's awesome. And that's a side hobby that I love to do. So enjoy it, because you can, So it's two totally different, I think 180s. One, I would definitely tell myself, just keep on doing your thing back in the past. It'll be okay. Just keep on doing what you're doing, and you'll be perfectly fine. But now I would probably try to tell myself, like, slow down, dude. It's all good. You made it. You don't have to worry about it. But part of that, I was actually talking to a classmate, student of mine, actually. And he has the same background in terms of Hispanic background, being one of the first to be in the education and stuff like that, graduating and whatnot. And he worded it in such a good way that really resonated with me. It was like, I grew up not having much, but I had everything I needed, because my mom provided everything I needed. But it was everything I had to keep really close to me. And if I felt like if I slowed down, or I stopped, or I became lazy, there it goes. And for me, it's like, oh wow, that really resonates, because you know what? That's really how I feel. It's like I grew up with very little, although I had everything I needed. And so it's like, now I have everything I need plus everything I want. And I like that. And so if I don't continue pushing forward and doing more and being more and this and that and that and the other, well, guess what? I'm going to lose all the extra stuff that I get to enjoy, that I busted my butt for. But I am slowly realizing that it's not just all about go, 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 go. It's about smelling the roses, enjoying life. And I think that's where I'm trying to be at right now.
Yeah, I hear that too. The coming out of the perfectionist, the more, productivity culture, especially in anesthesia, which is you're so valued for having that demeanor, and then trying to transition in and out of that, in and out of work, home life versus professional. I'm definitely navigating that myself as well. But just thanks for being so honest about, the struggles in AA school. And, I just would love to kind of dive in how we're hearing someone who really got in kind of by the skin of your teeth and kind of stayed in by the skin of
Yeah.
your teeth. And
Yeah.
then fast forward, you came out of AA school and were the first CAA at the Vero Beach Cleveland Clinic location. You're the chief anesthetist
Yeah.
there. You're involved in the hiring, and
Yeah.
it sounds like, you're involved in recruiting.
Yeah.
Talk to us just about how that opportunity came to you and how you really seized the day with it, or were you hesitant about being that? I'd love to hear more.
Uh, that one was so a lot of what I've been able to achieve has been um, kind of that seize the moment. I have an opportunity that falls on my lap, and I'm like, yeah, that's the one. I'm going to take advantage of it. Um, um, but at the same time, it's the idea of realizing that if I don't do something now with it, it's just going to fall through my fingers. So I was actually in my last semester of the program where I had job offers. I had one job offer that I really liked. It was up in Jacksonville, and I loved that rotation. Absolutely loved it. Loved everybody I worked with. It was amazing of a place, and I think that was when my skill set finally kind of started clicking. It was at that point because of such great mentoring, but it was still too far away from family. It was far enough away where I just like, I don't know if I really want to be. I'll do it if I have to. If it's the only place that I feel comfortable going, well, let's go. So I had that in the back on the back burner, and then I get an email from the clinical coordinator, and she says, Vero Beach, all MD group opening up to AAs. Apply if you're interested. I'm like, where the heck is Vero Beach? I'm like, I have no idea. And I'm like, okay. So I start doing a little research, and it's much closer to family than Jacksonville. And I'm like, And I don't know what it was, to be honest with you, because if I really think about it back, if I think back and if I really analyze myself, it's one of those things like, oh my God, I'm a new grad. It's an all MD. I'm going to be the first one in. Why would I not be just scared out of my mind to think that as a new grad, trying to prove to these docs what I'm capable of and what my skill sets are. But for whatever reason, the thought process was more, I'm the first. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going to be chief because it's just I have seniority. I can actually make proposals. This is my opportunity to open up a student rotation. It's just all these ideas started flooding in my head of opportunities that the fear of being the first, AA in this all MD group and trying to prove myself and being a new grad kind of was drowned out. It was completely drowned out by all these voices of opportunity that just bombarded my mind. And it was just like, do it, dude, do it, apply. Yeah, this is so cool. And the fact that it was so much closer to family was just like a bonus. And it was like, let's go. So I sent an email and I said, I just saw the application. Here's my CV. I'm a graduate in August. I would love to come in for an interview. And they responded back saying, yeah, come on in for an interview. It would be great. So I went to my interview. I sat down. I got to meet everybody. And it was during my interview that it kind of hit me. I was like, oh, I am going to be the first here, aren't I? And it was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to kind of fake it till I make it and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. and I did. And we had a great rapport between me and all my docs. And then it was great. And so they asked me, it's like, so what's the going rate for AAs? I'm like, I have no clue
Mm-hmm.
what to ask. I actually had a mentor, a CAA up in Jacksonville, we became good friends, and he was mentoring me on how to ask for a salary, how to ask for bonuses, how to interview, what's the process, what's the etiquette. I had no idea. And so he was coaching me and all this other stuff. And so he's like, so I asked, I told him, it's like, look, this is the going rate and da 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 da. And he's like, okay, and, we'll write this. He wrote some numbers down, and this was the director of the program of the anesthesia group. And so then I was like, well, sir, the other aspect is that majority, about 90%, if not 95% of all the other groups and all the other facilities, they're all giving out sign-on bonuses.
Good for you.
He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. What's the number? What's the number? And I'm like, I'm just dreading saying this number. I'm like, to be honest with you, he's like, and my mentor was like, don't start low, start high. Because if anything, they'll go half of what you ask, and at least you get more than what you originally started with, or originally the idea. It's like, okay. So it was like 5,000 was like a big number for me. And I said, let me double that. And I said, sir, most places are giving about 10 grand sign-on bonus. He's like, okay. He wrote it down, and he's like, all right. I was like, that was hard to say. And so the interview went great. Everything went great. And then I left, and then they come around and they offered me $2,500 for moving. They said, we can't afford a sign-on bonus. We can afford $2,500 for relocation fees, and we'll give that to you up front. You don't even have to start. Just sign the paper and it's yours. And it was like, all right, that'll help me get an apartment, because I was at the time living with my mother-in-law in a single bedroom. And they said, but we'll offer you this amount. And I'm like, that's really low. I mean, it was
salary.
Salary was really low compared to all the other numbers that I was getting from everywhere else. And I was like, well, you know what? Step one, I'm going from $0 to six-figure salary. Regardless, it was still six-figure salary. So like, that's still significant. I'm like, I can't, blow my nose on that type of thing. It was like, I that's still significant. But compared to all my counterparts that graduated, they were going to make, 10, 12% more than what I was going to make. But it was fine. It was all good. It was a start. And all the other opportunities and all this other stuff is no weekends, no call, no holidays, no nothing. It was just Monday through Friday, 8-hour shifts. It was a surgery center type of thing, biz. And I was like, that lifestyle was better for me and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. And then a couple of days after that, I got called saying, I'm so sorry. We didn't realize we needed permission from the hospital to have AAs. We don't know how long it's going to take. We can't guarantee. They were willing to pay me a month's salary just to keep me on if I were to sign and stay with them, regardless of how long it took for them to get the process done. And I was like, I really, really, really appreciate the offer. You have no idea. But I can't take it because we don't know how long. It take a month. It could take a week. It takes 6 months. It could take 8 months, a year. And I can't lock myself in because I'm going to be the only providing income for my family. Because my wife, I graduated on the 18th of August with the program, and my wife started nursing school the 22nd of August of the same year. So I was like, yeah, go babe. It's all good. I'll take care of it. And it was like, yeah, I can't do that. So they said, okay, we'll keep you in mind. We'll let you know when we have it. I was like, the 24 hours after that, Boca Regional, I get a text message from a mentor of mine. He says, Boca Regional is hiring, go there, apply. I was like, well, that's closer than Jacksonville. Let's go. And they were offering me a basic salary first to start, which was good, and all this other stuff. And I said, you know what? Let's go for it. But you know what was the craziest part? The craziest part is as I was in there, I had this gut-wrenching feeling of, I'm not going to like it here. It was just, this group was more of the personality, and nothing against the hospital and the group or nothing. I'm sure they're great people and everything. But at that moment, I learned that every group, anesthesia is anesthesia, no matter where you go. Yes. But every group has its own personality and how they thrive in terms of how they interconnect, how they interact, in terms of how they support each other and all this other stuff. And for me, my initial gut feeling was, the support that I'm looking for and the type of work environment that I'm personally looking for, this facility doesn't fit right, feel right. Vero Beach does, and I wish they would fix whatever they needed to fix to get me in. But I was like, you know what? Let me just sign in and let's move on, because I needed a job at that point. And I was dragging my feet applying, and then Vero Beach came back and said, yeah, we fixed it. If you're still interested, come on board. And I was like, you know what? I would love to, but unfortunately, I got another offer somewhere else, and they're giving me 10% more than what you're offering me. Is there any way we can close the gap and find a happy medium? And my heart was pounding, and it was much easier in an email to say something like that, because if they were going to laugh or hate me or shun me, at least they would do it in front of their computer where I was nowhere near. But they came back and they're like, oh yeah, you can start this day, that day, da 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 da. We got it all fixed. It was like, okay, thank you so much. But sir, what about the salary? He's like, oh, we'll match it. No worries.
Yes.
Bonus. I was like, oh my God, if I didn't ask, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Yes.
And so I started learning. I learned at that moment, one, it doesn't hurt to ask. Two, there is a huge difference, difference between having to go to work versus getting to go to work. And the idea of getting to go to work because you enjoy the people you work with, you feel comfortable there, you love what you do, you love the environment. Oh my God, does that make such a huge difference versus I have to go to work because it's a paycheck, and it's something that I like the anesthesia, but whatever, oh, this person, that person, oh my God, I hope this person doesn't start chatting my ear off, whatever it may be. There is a dramatic difference. So when I started there, I said, this is the kind of work environment that I want to create, because I get to create it. And I knew I needed to write a proposal for student rotation. I needed to write a proposal for orientations, because my orientation was coming in my first day and forgetting that I was even there. I was forgotten about for like 40 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And that startled look, like when somebody comes around and like, oh yeah, you're still here kind of thing. That's what I got from one of the docs. And then that doc pawned me off to another doc who was available. And she brought me to one of the OR rooms and said, oh, this is the computer system. This is how you log in. You follow the yellow brick road, click this, click that, here, anything that's blue, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. I'm like, oh my God. Fortunately, again, I had the support system. I was on my own, so it was one-on-one supervision. So I was like, you can't go anywhere because I still need to learn the system. So come and help me, and I learned it that way. But it was an amazing opportunity, because I got to work with great people that supported me, that taught me, that were okay with the fact that I was a new grad, were understanding of me being a new grad, and were allowing me to develop my skills as a provider, anesthesia provider, slowly, surely, and with support. And it was just amazing. I mean, for anybody looking for a place to work, that should, in my opinion, should be at the top of your list, of do I feel happy here, or would I feel happy here? Because that's going to determine whether or not you get to go home happy and come to work happy. And that's how you take care of your patients. And that's how you interact with all of us. And that's how we develop our program. And that's how you get to love life. Because if you're, I can't wait till Friday, I can't wait till the end of my shift, well, then you still go home like that. And that's not right, in my opinion. So that's kind of how I went. And the rest is just history. Is just, I went 6-7 months by myself until finally we recruited an AA and a CRNA. And then I oriented one of them while the other one was being oriented by one of the docs. And I was like, look, in no way, shape, or form are you going to allow this person to just get the orientation I got. I wrote down a list. I wrote this, I did that, show them this, show them that. And since then I've been doing orientations for everybody that walks in the door. And I now have a right-hand man that really helps me out. And anytime we have multiple, either students or providers that come on the same day, he's my go-to guy. And now we have a student rotation that takes on 2 students every 2 months for 2 months. And we're affiliated with South University and with Nova. And it's absolutely amazing because I get to do what I set out that I wanted to do in terms of being a leader, is mentor and teach.
Yes. Oh man, Jason, I hear so many examples of how you were expanded in your own life. The mentors that you came in contact with, having the mentor tell you what you should ask for a sign-on bonus, and like just getting that teeny little bit of information that like start high, not low. The Boca salary that allowed you to ask for more, and really you drew boundaries and said like, this is my value and this is what I need, and you allowed the opportunities to come to you. I feel like your story can be so expansive for the listeners who are maybe at some point of their journey that feels familiar to yours, and you just expanded them as your mentors expanded you. So I really appreciate you being just completely transparent and honest with the hard things,
Yeah.
and where you came from, because that's the conversations I think CAAs really aren't
Mm.
having with each other. We're not hearing about the full spectrum of what it means to
Yeah.
be a CAA, what it means to be the first CAA at
Mm-hmm.
a location where the docs don't know
Right.
what to do with us, and the bylaws, which is
Yes.
what they had to get updated with the CAA verbiage in them for the hospital. Those had to be done. Like, we're not educated and we're not empowered to solve some of those problems
Right.
for ourselves or target some of those
Mm-hmm.
problems preemptively. And so just hearing you say that is so expansive. And I'm just so excited to have you as our advocate down there in Florida. I am just wondering, and you touched on a few things like teaching
Mm-hmm.
more full time or teaching more. I'm just wondering, personally, professionally, what's on the horizon for you? What's next as you build your life by design?
Oh man, there are so many different things. I trying to kind of write it all out and have a little vision board type of thing, because it's hard to keep in my mind and hard to keep track of everything and whatnot, because the opportunities that you get in this profession, lifestyle, as you said, as long as you design it, it's just expansive and limitless, in my opinion. And so, for sure, I want to continue with the mentoring, but I definitely want to do more teaching and more. I definitely want to expand the student rotation as much as I possibly can at our facility. We're finally doing shadowing opportunities at our facility in Vero Beach. So, I'm trying to reach out to all the students that want to get into the AA program, or at least learn more about it, in terms of, hey, come shadow me or one of my crew members and learn about what it is it takes to be in this profession.
Hmm.
Um, on top of that, I had an interesting idea. I have always had a YouTube video idea of for teaching textbooks that I really like, kind of break down these chapters, not only for myself in terms of really understanding the material better, as I evolve as a teacher and mentor, but then to put them on video so that students getting into the program or students taking these classes can also have some kind of learning and stuff like that, and reach out. But I learned of another aspect, and I'm in the process of creating a website that takes all and as much information from all the AA programs across the US and puts them all in one website, to where you can compare and contrast, have all the information in one spot, and then make an informed decision on, these are the two that I like and I want to apply to. And then it'll also be a website where people can collaborate and do like a Q&A type of thing, the most common questions. So I'm in the process of putting that website together, and I am super excited about it. I'm hoping to get it done in the next month or so. But it's a lot of information, and that is going to be my main project right now. But then at the same time, it's continuing to love my family with as much of me as I possibly have. I want to spend as much time with him. My son, I have another son, 14 months old, and he is just so hilarious. And I love when we chase each other around the house and stuff like that. And then when 15-year-old son comes over. We're all, having fun, and the 15-year-old is helping me with my bookshelf project, my built-in bookshelf. I love working with my hands and stuff like that. So it's just enjoy life, figure out what it is that I want to do in terms of providing a continuity to expanding the profession. And his website is kind of my way of doing it. And then hopefully maybe that YouTube video will still pop up and come out sometime in the future. But I definitely want to do this website because I think it will help out so many students in terms of organizing and filtering, because it'll have a filtering mechanism that'll tell you what courses each program requires and recommends and all this other stuff, and it's all in one spot and they don't have to do the legwork. So if anybody or you, if you have any ideas in expanding it or coming up with things, I'd be more than happy to hear it all out, because the more we can collaborate together. This is not my website.
Oh, yes.
This is our website, and the more we collaborate together to make it good, to make it great, to make it exceptional, to make it like, oh my God, how the hell did this come out? And in that progress and progression just is where it's at. And I think this will be great.
I'm behind you, Jason. I'm totally in support of that. I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea. And I just really am impressed, and I'm super behind you. And so when we can talk after this, I do have some ideas actually that we can chat about after we finish recording, but we'll stay in contact, and I can totally support you any way you would like through the Awakened Anesthetist. I can offer, the link when it comes out. So if you're listening and that sounds interesting, you can wait for that from Jason, and hopefully we'll have further communication. But it sounds like that you are kind of open to CAAs or CAA students or prospective anesthesia students contacting you. Mentorship has been such a huge role in your life. I just wanted to ask if you were open to people contacting you, if you inspired them and they want to ask a question or just even speak with you, if that was okay after this episode, and then how best to do that if you're open to that.
Absolutely. I mean, I love when somebody comes to me and asks me, he's like, what is an AA all about? Or I want to get into it. Can I shadow you? And so I absolutely would love for anybody to get in contact with me, or whether you're a student in the program, whether you're a student looking into getting into the program, or whether you're an alumni and you want to help collaborate on this website. You can easily reach me at jason.franco85@gmail.com. And that's going to be the easiest and best way to get a hold of me. By all means, hit me up anytime, day or night, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And I'm already getting goosebumps at the idea of more people getting in touch with me to talk more about the AA program and how amazing it is, and to find out whether it's for you. I'm not here to say that the AA profession is for everyone, because it's this most amazing, grateful, this, that, the other. This is more of a, let me tell you what it's all about. Let me show you my passion for it, and then you get to make the decision. We're trying to be as expansive as possibly can be, and in no way, shape, or form is this all about just getting into the AA profession. This is about, what is it that you would like to talk about? How can I help you navigate life in general? Because I think that's where I'm at right now, is just navigating life to love it, live it, and leave my little mark on it. And so I challenge anybody listening, what is that for you? What is it that's going to get you to feel that you loved your life and you feel that you would do it all over again, exactly how you did it, designing our lives the way we want to, whatever that means for you.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be my life. Is not necessarily your life. It's what passions do you have? What do you love? What is it that just tells you like, yeah, I would love to do that, and forget that you're an adult. So it's just that kind of thing. Reach out to me. I love to hear your stories, and even if you just want to just chat, or if you wanted to go into something more specifically, I'm all about it, and we can always reconnect. And I would love to talk to you more about everything that you're doing, because I think that this podcast is going to be absolutely amazing, and it's going to blow up so much because it's going to allow a voice for the profession that isn't really out there. And I'm super grateful to be here, to have been here, and I hope to continue helping you out in any way that I can, because I think this is freaking amazing and awesome. So thank you for what you've done and what you're doing for our profession, for us, and for me.
Oh, Jason, you're so nice. I appreciate that. I was going to thank you. Just, I can hear the passion. We really connect over the passion for our profession.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so grateful that you just shared so openly and so vulnerably all of the ups and downs. I'm going to put your email in the show notes, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
Just so we don't, no one has to like grab a pen and paper right now.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do one last thing before we sign off here. You even touched on the struggle in the program, that there really wasn't any time for you. Like you had at one point stopped working out, and I assume there are many other sacrifices you had to make. And so part of my passion lies in how do we hold the and both of CAA school requires so much from us, and we're really giving our all, and we understand we have to make sacrifices, but we can't lose ourselves. We can't sacrifice our mental health. We need to be able to slow down and take time for ourselves and rest and restoring, so that we can study for 5 hours straight and take the test, and perform in the operating room. So that's a real struggle, and I don't have all the answers, but I do think that there is something to be said with small moments of, you can call it mindfulness, or I like to call it activating our parasympathetic system.
I like it.
Because that's a lot of what mindfulness is just slowing down our bodies and our minds so that we can rest and truly restore on a physiologic level. So I wanted to end here just doing that in real time with you. I assume that this is kind of like new for lots of CAAs and maybe medical people. And, our type A analytical brains aren't like, let's take a Zen moment for breathing. But I just think it's a powerful thing that, we can do anytime, any place, right before you walk into the operating room, right after you get off of a podcast call, or when you're pulling into the garage before you walk out of work life and into personal life. So I just wanted to take just really 2 big deep breaths with you. I'll kind of lead the first one, because there is a special way to breathe that activates your parasympathetic system. And then we can just do one more on our own. And if you're listening and you'd like to join, we are going to close this session just with allowing ourselves to kind of rest and slow down, absorb in all the information, and just like be in the moment. So we're all going to Jason and I are going to take a big deep breath in. We're going to hold it for 2 seconds. 1, 2, and exhale all the air out. Really empty your lungs. Jason, let's do one more. Deep breath in. Hold at the top. And exhale. Jason, I'm so grateful to have you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Mary. I really, really appreciate this opportunity to talk and to share our passions. And I look forward to the next time we get to talk again.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this first process interview with Jason Franco. I hope you took a lot out of the episode. And as Jason said, he's open to being contacted if anything in his story sparked your interest or gave you a question that you wanted to take to him, or even if you were interested in contacting him on a mentorship level. His email is going to be in the show notes of whatever podcast app you are listening on right now. And something totally free and relatively easy that you can do to support our profession, this podcast, and the creation of more process episodes like these is to leave a rating and review on whatever podcast app you are listening to. And it's always good to follow the show on your podcast app. That just ensures that the latest episodes are going to be automatically downloaded to your phone, which I really find valuable because when I am traveling to work, which is a slightly less than an hour drive, I don't have to chew up all of my data. I can have it downloaded onto my phone and just listen to all of my favorite podcast episodes without Wi-Fi access. So I will be back in 2 weeks with our next 5-ish minutes of mindfulness episode. Until then, remember that you deserve to feel good behind the drape. Okay, so I am going to... So yay! We did it!
We did it.